It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Thanks for joining us, folks. You're watching the Schuylkill Chamber of Commerce TV series. I'm your host, Sam Lesante. I got to tell you, my friends, the information that we've been bringing about different things have been really, we've been blessed by the kind of response we have. We're here at the Chamber, of course, and my good friend Bob Carl, who is the president, CEO, he's our president. You know, you have to bow down now when you see him. Bob, it's been an interesting year so far.
It has been, Sam. Welcome back. I think this topic today, though, may be one of the most important and pressing topics that we've covered.
Tell me about, this subject we're going to have today.
So, every 10 years, we get a new census, and depending on how the census falls out, we have to do both congressional and statewide redistricting. So that's the process we're in. The 2020 census is now coming to fruition, and we're going to need to redistrict. So today we're not going to talk about the congressional redistricting. That's a separate process. We're going to talk about state legislative redistricting. And unfortunately, Schuylkill County has a lot of concerns, but it also impacts your whole viewing area because this ties to Luzerne and other contiguous counties to Schuylkill County. And unfortunately, through a process of the Redistricting Commission, the state legislature map, meaning the House seats, have now been proposed in a way that is not, in my opinion, favorable at all to Schuylkill County, and I really think it's doing an injustice to Luzerne, Dauphin, and surrounding counties. We had three legislative seats here in Schuylkill County: the 123rd, Representative Tim Twardzik; the 124th, Representative Jerry Knowles; and the 125th, Representative Joe Kerwin. In the proposed map, the 125th is no longer even in Schuylkill County. Representative Joe Kerwin now has, by the proposal, which we're hoping to change, has Dauphin County, nothing in Schuylkill County. Representative Tim Twardzik in the 123rd, his constituency is in Schuylkill County but is moving south and has split a major part of northern Schuylkill County that Senator Rhodes and others, the late great Senator Rhodes and others, used to affectionately call Upper Schuylkill, where these 7 communities have actively worked together for a long time. And then in the 124th, Representative Jerry Knowles continues to have a combination of Berks and Schuylkill, but more shifting percentage-wise to Berks. So this, to me, is pretty disrespectful to the voters of Schuylkill County. You have a first-term legislator, Representative Joe Kerwin, elected significantly by Schuylkill Countyans, loses entirely Schuylkill Countyans, and Representative Tim Twardzik shifting while still in Schuylkill County, losing a lot of the constituents that elected him.
So the Chamber of Commerce, as we've been telling our viewers over 20-some shows, looks after the welfare of the community. Okay,
Absolutely.
So you just don't shoot from the hip. You just don't, let's forget about personalities. You may not like a person, but however, that person may bring something to the table. So as you looked at this entire thing and the Chamber looks at this, you want to be concerned about, are we doing the best for our communities?
Correct.
What does the Chamber, what's their viewpoint on this?
So we've issued a statement, we've submitted testimony, and it basically says we're not in agreement with this because the criteria were community like-mindedness. We, better than anyone other than the state representatives themselves, know community like-mindedness. We know how these communities function. We know the collaboration and partnership from community to community. In Schuylkill County, as you well know, Pottsville being the largest population, 15,000, we are formulated by a lot of very small rural communities. And therefore, more importantly than other counties, we have to work together. And these communities work side by side, and they formed community like-mindedness, and they support and they work with each other. And this has totally, in my opinion, destroyed that and does not allow us to be positioned for the future the very best we could be.
Well, folks, coming up will be Representative Tim Twardzik. I remember when he was on my show a couple times, he made some statements. I asked him what he wanted to do, and he was profound in what he said. And you know what, my friends? He did what he said. Isn't that amazing? A politician says something, and they actually do it. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Very interesting show we have for you today. Remember, 24/7, ssptv.com. You can watch all of our shows. Thank you so much for the comments we're hearing from these Schuylkill Chamber of Commerce TV series. We only started out to do 6, and we're up to like 20-some. Well, we talked to Bob in the beginning, and we talked about this redistricting in the state of Pennsylvania. It's chaotic. My question is, why? How come? Well, Representative Tim Twardzik, who is 123rd Representative District, he's on the Sam Lesante Show a couple times, and if you recall when he was on the show, I asked him questions of what you want to do and what he wants to accomplish for his constituents, and not only his area, but for the state of Pennsylvania. And everything he talked about, he's worked on. And I have to tell you, well, first of all, welcome to the show. Okay.
Sam, it's great to be back with you.
Family doing all right?
They're doing terrific.
That's good. Mrs. T's pierogi still strong as ever?
The pandemic's been tough on people, but they've stayed home and cooked a lot of pierogi. So thankfully, the 245 people still show up to work overtime, and make sure everybody's happy.
That's good. I really loved your video that you did that we showed on how the family, and you know, you're one of the people that speak from their heart, okay? So this political situation in the state of Pennsylvania, whom I've been doing this show since 1994, probably in my 5,000th show, and I'm still bewildered of what's going on with politics. Tell me about this chaotic situation that we have, and how does it affect that average person out there?
Well, after it's my first year in office, it's been an interesting time to serve, but the redistricting's been very difficult. Every 10 years, the state has to count the population and adjust to make sure that we have the right, proper group of people to represent. So whether it's 62,500 or 65,000 people, that's who I was voted to represent in Harrisburg, their interests. Well, what's happened with this new district map is they've taken the northernest part of our district, which is Shenandoah, Mahanoy City, Mahanoy Township, which is my hometown and where our family business is located, and taken them away from the 123rd district and shifted them up north into Luzerne and Hazleton. Now, it's an interesting new district they put together to make it a Hispanic district. Now, constitutionally, it might be incorrect. You can make districts based on race. But again, the chairman decided he wanted to do special districts to try to make this work. But what it's really done is hurt the people in northern Schuylkill County, because I know them. They voted for me. I represent their interests. I know it well. But now I lose them, and they go up into a different district where it's dominated by Hazleton. A great place, but people in Hazleton are different than Shenandoah. A lot of people say people in Shenandoah are different than everywhere else too. But they voted, but now their votes are taken away by this redistricting. I move into Pottsville, contain the whole city, which is nice, and then a little more southern, but I get 38% new people to go knock on doors and work hard to get reelected. Now, a lot of representatives have it worse than I do. Well, Tim, how could it be worse than losing your hometown and your family business where they know you? It's like, well, I don't have to run against an incumbent. But there are 12 representatives in Pennsylvania that will run, Republicans will run against each other. So automatically you lose 6 seats. Now, there are only 2 Democrats that run against each other. So if you looked at a fairness map, this is not fair. As a matter of fact, Princeton University did a gerrymander review and gave this map an F.
Okay, so don't we respect the voter anymore? Okay, I mean, so here's, I voted for Tim Twardzik, all right, and there's a reason why I voted for Tim Twardzik. And now what happens is, it's just political, it's not political. These days you don't know what the hell to believe, okay, but the average person out there keeps on getting hammered all the time. Why is this not good for the people in Shenandoah and the district that you were representing?
Well, when we talked before, Sam, why would I run? I ran to help my community because I really respect the hardworking folks And they allowed us to make a great living as a family business. And I worked on the Chamber of Commerce, I worked in economic development, the hospital board. I've always been involved because the people have been so good. And I thought, here's an opportunity. When Neil Goodman retired, our long-term rep, I was able to step in and try to work it. As a matter of fact, I called Neil, when I won, and I spoke to him. I said, Neil, I need office staff. And he said, Tim, my office staff is excellent. And I said, can I interview them? I'd like to see if they come work for me, because as a business guy, I want to have talented people who know their job. I'm not hiring political people. And so I interviewed, and Sherry Hammer and Rachel Hobbs came to work with me with 17 years and 14 years experience. And it's been great because we haven't missed a beat. Because there's two ways to be a legislator. You could go to Harrisburg and worry about legislation and drafting bills, and you want to make law. Or you could concentrate on constituent services, take care of the people in your district, and that's what I want to do because there's too many laws. But the bottom line is, how do I help the people, whether it's helping them get their unemployment, which our office has worked every day on during the pandemic. We were the health department trying to make sure people would get the right information and try to get their vaccines and get taken care of because of COVID. But we also do the LIHEAP, getting the money, working on mundane things like car issues, but we want to try to help these people. Now they're gone. Now they'll have to learn new representation in Hazleton and travel 17 miles north. I think, if I'm lucky enough to win again and serve, my office is going to have to need more staff, because people from Shenandoah and Monte City will still come to our Frackville office or our Pottsville office because they know us. And we take care of them. People in Reentown come to our office now. They're not we don't represent them. Representative Jerry Knowles has them. But we don't chase them to Tamaqua because that's not fair. It's like, you have a problem, we'll fix it. And I tell Jerry he owes me a coffee.
Yeah. The thing that I get confused is where's the common sense here? Okay, where's the common sense? Is this also affecting the state of Pennsylvania? Of course, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and all the different. Are they having similar problems like you were having here? It's
difficult. Again, a lot of representatives will face a primary. That eliminates 6. And then you have people who are going to face Democratic incumbents. So I think there's 4 or 6 districts there, so someone's going to, an existing representative is going to lose. Now, this is not about saving your job. It's about taking care of the people in your community.
Perry, yes.
What's happened also is it's a remarkable map that came out. It was drawn by Nordenberg, the chairman, and a map maker that was a disgruntled Republican. And it came out of nowhere. People, when they saw this map, were shocked at how bad it was, because it was supposed to be Democrats, Republicans working together, agreeing on a map. But they never did that.
That's what I thought it was.
It never happened that way. It was just the chairman, instead of being the referee, stuck himself in as the player and produced the map. And what happened, it shocked everyone because it split cities for the first time in many years. But Harrisburg is split in sections. Allentown is split, Reading, and Lancaster. And the question is, why would you split these places, Sam? The answer is, the cities are normally Democratic strongholds. And they have their election, and that's where people live. They choose to live, and they vote for the representative. That's what works. Well, if we split these cities up in pies and chase them into the suburbs, which are usually Republican-run, we end up with enough Democrats to become more Democratic sections. So what happens is now people in the suburbs lose any of their influence because all of a sudden they're looped into the city. And people who live outside the city have different concerns inside. So it's just a giant mess, and people are very upset. And so there were opportunities to make public comment, and hopefully the legislative committee will look at these comments.
You see, I'm an old schooler. I go back to when I was on the college board and how they try to manipulate, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's always something that there's a reason for. There's something by design, okay? And when you're looking at something by design, it never helps that average person out there who gets hammered every day, whether it's high inflation, whether it's high energy, whether it's a senior trying to survive, they worked all their lives, and now we have these political guys hammering them all the time, and women. And so when do we say enough's enough? We thought we put representatives in like you and people for the reason to help us. And you're right. When you're in Hazleton, you were able to talk to Tara Toohill. and she built up a rapport. You build up rapport. Joe Curran, Jerry Knowles, God, he's built up a terrific rapport.
Right.
So what happens is, by design, these political people come in and actually want to ruin a lot of things that were so established. It's like so disgusting.
It's done, it's an academic exercise, and they have computer models that draw all these things. There's 5,000 maps drawn. But they didn't once come to the county to take a look and see how the people really live and how they're all connected, because they wouldn't have done these changes.
Tim, you're accountable. People voted for you.
Right.
This guy, Mark Nortenberg, whoever he is, he didn't run for office. He did not run for office. He did not go and face the public and say, this is what I'm all about. How did these, and I don't know this guy from a load of hay, okay? Believe me, he could be a nice person. I have no idea. But how these things happen? How does the state, the state reps allow these things to happen?
Well, what happened was, after the last 10 years ago, they did the maps. They weren't agreed upon. They went to the federal or to the state Supreme Court, who drew the map, which actually is not allowed, but they did it anyway. And they signed off on it, but they said, because we can't get the Republicans and Democrats to play nice and get a good map, we're going to assign a committee. And the Legislative Redistricting Committee will be the leader of the House and the leader of the Senate on both Democrat and Republican sides. So you have 4 people who will then work together to make this wonderful map. And then the Supreme Court selects an arbitrator, a chairman, who will just basically, when they can't come to terms, he'll go in there and tell them to fight nice. Well, it turns out he never reviewed any Republican maps. The Democrats never put any maps forward. And at the last minute, they produced this map, which gave us this new district, which took out my hometown and basically put us out on an island. And now we've had 30 days to fix it, but the shocker is this came out the week before Christmas. And how many people in Pennsylvania, unfortunately, were very excited about redistricting maps? So Christmas came, New Year's came, and now we've got 3 days to fix it.
How about,
brilliant. Mean, cruel, horrible, but brilliant.
How about success? How about, you said something as a businessman. If you look at all the representatives and look at who they represent and look at their towns and see how successful have these people been. So what you did is, when you became a representative, you said, look, I'm going to go for a person who's already been successful. You called Goodwin and said, what about your team? So now, when I'm redistricting, I have to look at Representative Lesante, Representative Tim. Well, what have they done for their communities? And then let's see what we're going to do. But I don't know if they're worried about success. Are they worried about politics, which is destroying the country right now? Are they worried about the individual persons? I think not. But that's only my personal opinion.
Well, this map is purely political driven. If you do enough study, you do enough research, you find out that the way the state works is you lay it out and you have suburbs. Well, they're Republican and that's the Republican seat. But if we split the cities up, then we get steal those seats. And that's not the way it really should work. Nordberg, when he first came out, his comment was, in a state that's 50-50, registered Democrats, registered Republicans, obviously, after an election, it should come out 50-50. So if you have 3 more Republicans win, then that's not fair. It's like, but Mr. Nordberg, he started with the wrong premise, because it's not based on the registration of voters. It's based on how those voters go out to vote. Because I think a couple of Democrats voted for me in my district because I served, my job, and the other representatives who come there, we run as our party, but after you're elected, honest to goodness, you got to serve the people who are there, because you won't make it again. And people talk about term limits. Well, that's interesting, but the bottom line is, if you get there and you do a good job, people will keep you in that job. And, I haven't accomplished everything I wanted to, Sam, because it's been a very difficult year with the pandemic. But, this coming year, we've got more work to do on blight. And we had a wonderful tour where people came to Schuylkill County, Democrats and Republicans, and looked and saw what these small towns are suffering from. Because it's different blight in a city than it is in a small town. But the bottom line is, each of us who are elected are trying to help the people we live with.
So what does the general public do?
The general public still has an opportunity to go on to the website. They could find the link at reptimtwardzik.com. But it's the Legislative Bureau, and they basically can do some public comments.
Who hired this guy?
He was appointed by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania.
Oh my goodness, I'm not going to say anything, my friends, because it's so painful to see what's going on in the state of Pennsylvania and see what's going on in our country today. You know, my heart bleeds for those poor seniors who are getting hammered, Tim. People that your father, God rest his soul, work with, and they go to the supermarket and they see the inflation, they see the energy costs going through the roof. They just about could pay for their prescriptions, etc. And these politicians don't give a good crap about them. That's my personal opinion. It's just so sad that we're allowing this to happen in this country.
It's a difficult time to serve, but, you know, was brought up right to try to help people. I'm going to continue to do that.
Boy, you got a challenge, my friend. We pray for you all the time.
I appreciate
Tim, it's always
that.
nice seeing you. All I can tell you is continue to do what you're doing. You know, whatever you said you were going to do, you did, and that's important. Okay?
Absolutely. And my wife loved running into you at Vito's again.
Yes, I know. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks, 24/7. Channel 190 here in Pottsville, Comcast 190, every day, 7 to 11 p.m. Yes, we're getting more and more viewers. Remember, we were on Channel 7, and now we're up to 190. And my email is sam@ssptv.com. Of course, 24/7 on Channel 13, Service Electric Cablevision, and also 513, our HD channel. And the Wilkes-Barre area on Channel 92 every Saturday and Sunday from 7 to 11 p.m. We will be increasing those hours in the near future. Robert, we heard from Representative Tim Twardzik. Interesting. You can just go on and on and on. And you know, I could sense being there, okay, as a chairman and trying to do the right thing, and politicians sometimes don't do the right things. But I can sense the frustration on a person who is so honest and sincere and wants to do good for the community and has to put up with this bull nonsense.
Well, you know, this whole process, I mean, we live in a politically charged world. And I'm not talking about the state representatives. I'm talking about we're starting to accommodate and creating bad processes to overcome, I think, really misstated situations. So we've heard so much about gerrymandering in so many different conversations. But this is now gerrymandering. This process is creating gerrymandering. And my big concern is that we're not even anymore doing the right thing because we get hung up on words and statements. We're politically charged at the national, the state, the local level. And you know what? We're not really respecting why we send these people to Washington and Harrisburg to represent us. And who becomes victimized? Us. The people, not only of Schuylkill County, Luzerne County, Dauphin County. If everything gets weaker because of a bad process, how can that possibly be good? You know, Representative Twardzik has done a great job, first term, representative coming in, learning his constituents, community mindedness. Same with Representative Kerwin, same with Representative Knowles. At the end of the day, they're doing their jobs. They're committed to the people that they serve.
That's why that's why I mentioned him about success. You got to take a guy like Tim, okay, Mrs. Steve Pierogies. His father worked from scratch, was good work ethics, and here he brings success. You take Gerald Kerwin, you take Jerry Knowles, you take even some of the Democrats, okay, that are out there, okay, who have been successful, okay, because if they had to live by their Democratic oath, you know, I don't think you'd have many Democrats, okay? They're, you know, the preamble, etc. But what happens is, why do we continue to have the politicians not use the common sense and look at success? That always troubles me.
At the end of the day, Sam, this show is so important, as all of our shows are, because the people can't fall asleep at the switch here. They need to see what's happening. And we, as a Chamber of Commerce, representing 786 businesses and thousands and thousands and thousands of employees and their families, we need to speak up, because when we know it's not going to be in the people's best interest, we need to say that.
Bob, but do you know how difficult that is today?
I know.
They have this public so scared. In COVID-19, they have them scared. These people are afraid to go out. They're struggling with their bills. They're struggling with their internal, life. And now we're saying, now be concerned about politics. They're saying, my God, how many times you want to clobber us, okay? And you have the crazy liberal press that continue to stamp the disasters that we're doing, okay? And so now, what are these people supposed to do, okay?
It comes down, Sam, we need to do the right thing. The people must speak. We have 3 good state representatives in Schuylkill County, and we're doing this show because I'm very concerned. I'm concerned about 2 things. One, the outcome as it's been portrayed is not going to be positive, in my opinion, and in the Chamber's opinion. But most importantly, some people don't know what's about ready to happen if this stays the way it is, and the people have to speak.
Well, listen, they're paying the price now. They're paying the price, what we're doing right now. They have only begun to see the misery that we're going to have in this country, the misery that's there, okay, because they're letting politics take over. I feel sorry for them, I really do, But we continue to bring as much information. We welcome your comments, friends. Sometimes the truth really gets in there, okay? So they want to take all these people who are doing great jobs and get rid of them. See, they want to get rid of these people. They want politicians. They want you see what's happening, my friends. I don't have to tell you, you got your energy bills. You're going to the supermarkets. You're going to get your gas, etc. You're seeing what's going on. And all of a sudden, what happened? What happened, okay? Bob, I'm going to ask you a question. I know you don't have a magic wand. You think it's going to get better?
I think it has to get better, and I think the only way it's going to get better is the people's voice continues to be heard. Pay attention, and when you have good elected officials, honor them, appreciate them, and fight for them, and that's what we're doing here.
We'll see you next time.